quiet little bush grew between the stone at the edge of a narrow street that led to a grand palace. Its thorns were sharp, and its flowers were too small to be admired. Children never picked its blossoms, and travelers avoided the prickly bush. The thorn bush felt ugly and unwanted. A rooster crowed. Harsh voices stirred the thorn bush from its sleep. A crowd pushed a man through the quiet streets toward the palace. His hands were tied, but he showed no anger. The man stopped in front of the little bush. His gentle gaze made the bush feel warm and cared for. No one had ever shown such kindness to the thorn bush. A moment later, the shouting crowd forced the man to move on. Out of the shadows came another man. As he passed, a silver coin fell to the ground. It rolled beneath the thorn bush. The man knelt to pick it up. His face was sad, and he began to weep. His tears fell on the thorn bush. How I wish I could comfort him, thought the little bush. But my thorns will only pierce him more. The man stumbled off and did not return. People began to gather outside the palace. A soldier walked through the crowd toward the thorn bush. The morning sunlight reflected off of the soldier's raised sword. With a single swing of the sharp weapon, several branches fell from the thorn bush. The soldier gathered the cuttings and returned to the palace. Why would anyone want my ugly thorns? The thorn bush wondered. The sun rose high in the morning sky. People began to shout as a man limped through the palace gates. Behold, your King Jesus, laughed the soldiers, who says he is the Son of God. Crucify him, yelled the angry mob. The little bush shuddered. It was the man with the kind face. He was struggling to drag a heavy wooden cross over the rough stone streets. As the man reached the thorn bush, he stumbled and fell to his knees. He turned a tired face toward the little bush. Even though he will soon die on that cross, his eyes are filled with kindness, the little bush thought. The thorn bush recognized its own spiked branches weaved into a thorny crown upon the man's head. A drop of blood fell from the man's forehead onto one of the bush's small yellow blooms. The stained flower fell to the ground. It was a long, sad day. When all the people finally went home and the streets were deserted, the thorn bush bowed in sorrow. It was ashamed of the pain its thorn had caused the man on the cross. For 2 days, the thorn bush refused to bloom. Morning dew fell like tears from its trembling branches. The little bush bent low to examine fallen flowers beneath it. Only one remained, fresh, the flower stained by the blood of the man with the crown of thorns. On the third day after the man came, the little bush was awakened by a beautiful dove. The graceful bird flew down to rest among the thorn bush's branches. "He's alive!" cried a woman as she hurried through the street. "Jesus is risen!" The thorn bush was amazed. Could the kind man really have risen from the dead? Warm sunshine poured over the little bush. Its broken branches began to bud. Once more, the thorn bush thought of the loving kindness shown to him by the man with the gentle eyes, the man they called Jesus. The thorn bush selected its most delicate bloom and held it high in the morning sun. Slowly the golden bloom opened, revealing a touch of red deep within the small blossom, as though it had been stained by a droplet of Jesus' blood. The thorn bush rejoiced. The man Jesus had died but lived again. He truly is God's Son. Jesus' only crown had been woven from the branches of the little thorn bush, but that crown was greater than silver or gold. It was the crown of the King of Kings, Jesus. Let's pray, and then we can go back and get some snacks. Who's had the maple bacon cupcake? If you haven't, you got to go get one. Don't tell your parents I sent you over there. Go get the maple bacon cupcake. Who made those, by the way? Who brought them? There's the culprit. Let's pray. God, like that little thorn bush, we are the ones who inflicted Jesus' pain. It was our sin, like those thorns, that inflicted